victory. It's 10 wins in succession.
Max Verstappen is the world champion of 2023.
1003. That's how many laps Max Verstappen led in a single season. More than Senna and Prost led combined in 1988. 19 wins out of 22 races, a record that might stand for decades. That was 2023. This is 2026. P6 in the championship. 110 points behind a rookie. Winless through 11 races. An exit clause that activated 5 days ago because Red Bull couldn't keep him in the top 2 by the summer break. Half the internet has moved on. The takes are already written. Max is done. Max is declining. The era is over. So today we're not debating them. We're doing something simpler. We're laying out 71 receipts, one argument at a time. And we're starting with the claim they've been making the longest. This one's been following Max since the day he stepped into a Red Bull. The argument is simple. Put him in a midfield car and he's just another driver. It sounds reasonable until you remember what happened at Interlagos in November 2016. Rain so heavy the race got red flagged twice. Max was 18 years old, in a car that was comfortably third fastest on the grid. And while the rest of the field was trying to survive, he was taking the outside line through turn 3, a racing line nobody else on the grid would touch in the dry, let alone in a monsoon. He dropped to 16th after a pit stop gamble went wrong and gained 13 places in 14 laps. 13 in the rain. In a car that had no business being anywhere near the front. He nearly spun on the pit straight at 200 kilometers an hour, caught it in a heartbeat, and his radio message afterwards was, "Yeah, heartbeat went a bit higher there." That was year 1 of the "it's just the car" argument. They're still making the same claim 10 years later. The receipt hasn't changed either. This was the 2021 favorite. Max was fast, sure, but when it came down to a genuine title fight against Lewis Hamilton wheel to wheel, point for point, the whole season on the line, the theory was he'd crack. Too aggressive, too emotional, not enough experience in championship deciding moments. Abu Dhabi, final race, level on points. Hamilton controlled it for 57 laps. The gap was comfortable, the title was slipping away, and then Nicholas Latifi crashed with 5 laps to go. Safety car. Max on fresh softs, Hamilton on 43-lap-old hards. 1 lap, 1 shot, and here's the detail most people don't know. Max was racing with a leg cramp through the entire final lap. He said afterwards he was biting his teeth through the pain. Didn't matter. He sent it into turn 5, made the pass, and held on. Horner's voice came through the radio. "You already know what he said." Max's reply, "Let's do this for another 10 or 15 years. That's not a man who cracked under pressure. That's a man who showed up at a 50-50 moment with a dead leg and delivered. The can't handle pressure take died right there. But the doubters didn't stop. They just found a new argument. After 2021, the car got faster, a lot faster. And by 2023, the argument flipped. Max isn't that special. Anyone would win 19 races in that Red Bull. It's a convenient theory. It's also one that falls apart under about 30 seconds of scrutiny. If you're new to Max content or new to why his fans are the way we are, here's the part the casual viewer missed. 15 wins in 2022. Then 19 in 2023. 10 consecutive victories breaking Vettel's record of 9. 575 championship points. He clinched his 3rd title with 6 races still remaining. And through all of it, 3 consecutive home wins at Zandvoort, the orange smoke, the grandstands shaking, an entire country watching their driver own his circuit. Only 17 drivers in the entire 76-year history of Formula One have won 19 races across their whole career. Max did it in 1 year. Was the car fast? Of course it was. But a car doesn't lead 1,000 laps. A car doesn't find 3/10 in qualifying when the gap should be 0. A car doesn't make the decision to go long on worn tires and still pull a gap. That's the driver. And the numbers prove it, because Sergio Perez was in the same car and finished 200 points behind. Same machine. 200 points apart. The car didn't do all the work. This was the updated version. Okay, fine, he's good, but take the dominant car away and he'll fade like Vettel did after Red Bull. Reasonable theory, completely wrong. Imola 2024. Red Bull's advantage was disappearing. McLaren was closing fast. The tires fell off a cliff in the final stint, and Max described the car as driving on ice. He won by 0.7 of a second on pure racecraft and tire management against a Norris who had the faster package underneath him. Then Brazil starting from the pit lane, climbing through the entire field in mixed conditions. Another rain masterclass, 8 years after the first one. The teenager who caught a spin at Interlagos in 2016 came back as a 4-time champion and did it again. The collapse theory crowd went quiet after Brazil, but only until this season gave them fresh ammunition. This is the current one, the one you're hearing right now, in August 2026, while Max sits 6th and the exit clause ticks. And the funny thing is, it might be the weakest argument yet, because even in a season with 0 wins, the receipts are still coming. The RB22 spent the first 3 months of this season over a second off the pace. A second. In a sport measured in thousandths. And Max dragged it to back-to-back podiums at Austria and Spa, then a P2 in Hungary, fighting George Russell for a win that 3 months ago would have been science fiction. After Austria, his radio message was a joke about yellow flags, meaning he could push flat out a dig at Russell that tells you everything about where his head is. He's not broken, he's not declining, he's annoyed. And an annoyed Max Verstappen, in a car that's finally showing signs of life, is the most dangerous thing on the grid. Every year, a new argument. Too young, too aggressive, too lucky. Just the car, can't handle pressure. Will fade without the machinery. Done in 2026. And every year, the same answer, 71 wins. 4 world titles. The youngest winner ever. The most wins in a single season ever. The most consecutive wins ever. The man who won in monsoons and won in dominant cars and won on ice and is still dragging podiums out of a car that has no right to be there. The prosecution rests. The receipts are the receipts. Here's my take on what all of this means. This season isn't the end of the Max Verstappen era. It's just the first time the doubters have been loud enough to convince casual fans they might be right. They're confusing not winning with not being the best. Those are 2 very different things, and 71 receipts prove it. Now, in exactly 10 days, Zandvoort hosts its final Formula One race, the last Dutch Grand Prix ever. Max needs 1 more win there to equal Jim Clark's all-time record of 4 victories at that circuit, and that record would then stand forever, because the race isn't coming back. If that happens, the video goes live the moment the checkered flag drops. Subscribe now so you're here when it does, because that's a moment you don't want to catch 2 days late. And one question I genuinely can't answer, which era proves his greatness more? The years he won everything, or the year he's winning nothing and still making every other driver on the grid look slower? Drop it in the comments. I want to hear this one.